belongs to Quinn Snyder and the Utah Jazz, who get their first playoff series victory.
Every year that I've been in LA, like, we've talked about winning a championship. You know, the expectations have been the same every year, so the disappointment's the same every year. I have this, like, very ritualistic drive into the arena. As you get off the 105 and it becomes the 110, there's this really high, long overpass. When it's a day game and it's a clear day, you can kind of see all of the LA basin when you get to the top of the overpass. And at the very crest of it, you see downtown. And driving in before Game 7, and I got to that crest, the thought hit me that that's the last time I might make that drive. It was an unsettling thought. I didn't like that feeling. When the game ended and I first got back to the locker room, I kind of had this, like, sort of dark existential moment where I was like, what is the point of all this?
What do you want to kind of show people through this whole process?
Well, I think the goal is to give sort of a complete picture of everything that goes into a decision. There's a sentiment amongst certain casual sports fans that professional athletes are sort of robotic. I would like to show the human side of how athletes make decisions. One of the frustrating things just about not knowing your future is moving and kind of having stuff in different places. Right now I'm trying to figure out, you know, what stuff I'm taking to Brooklyn, what stuff is going in storage, what stuff we're giving to charity. It would be nice to kind of feel settled. The movers haven't shown up. I really just kind of need your help to get some, like, trash out of the thing. Could you bring over, like, some, like, industrial-sized trash bags?
Yeah, I can come over right now.
All right, perfect. Basically, you can throw away everything in here.
Literally everything.
So let's just get, like, all the linens out, all the pillows, linens, all this shit. We're gonna be in the rental for the whole off season. It's just not happening for us. It's just not happening for us.
Doc Rivers is with us. We are your home of the Clippers. Big day tomorrow, the NBA lottery. That then brings us to the question of the state of the Clippers.
It's shitty to say this, but I think I've had a loss of joy. I look at our team and how we play, and it's just, there's no joy in it. That bothers me.
180, 200 million to keep this team together. Is that something that an owner like Steve Ballmer will flinch at?
No, Steve's not going to flinch. Steve wants to win, as do I.
In terms of this summer, I mean, these guys are all free agents. You know, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, they can all opt out and go wherever they may please.
You know, obviously with having three guys, including JJ, a free agent, it makes it a little harder this summer. We talk to all our guys and get them to believe and buy into the Clipper brand.
It certainly is something that you're familiar with. I mean, I think it was a pretty complicated deal that brought JJ here. A three-way trade, involved draft picks and multiple players.
So you, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, all can be free agents this summer. How's it look? How's it look?
I don't think 18 months ago, I don't think that I was open to leaving. I thought I would retire here. The NBA will teach you that things can change very quickly. It's been like 36 days. I haven't heard from anybody from the Clippers. You know, they're the one team that could sort of contact me directly, and you know, I don't even know if, you know, I'm a priority there. And sometimes when you're doing all the thinking and the overthinking, you can go to some dark places. Maybe your expectations or your hopes for how things will turn out in free agency, you know, they aren't met. I've been in those free agency meetings before. I met with the team in 2013. I left the meeting being like, fuck, this guy's gonna pay me. Never got a contract offer. Did I cut myself? Yeah, I cut myself. It's no big deal, bud.
Say, Daddy, be careful. It's a very expensive middle finger, Daddy.
Moxie, who's your favorite player, Daddy or Chris Paul?
Such a big helper you are. Hold it tight, both hands, both hands. Good boy. Hold it really tight.
Every guy says, I'm not thinking about free agency. I'll deal with it after the season. I'll sit down with my family and my agent and we'll talk about it. But the reality is these conversations are happening throughout the year. Ray Allen used to say, like, you know, I'm trying out every night. You're playing for a job every night. I know when I'm looking at situations, I'm looking at
stability.
Right, stability. That's something we talked about. Like, I don't want to go somewhere and then get traded after 6 months or a year. Like, you know, I think there's got to be some sort of like vested interest in keeping me around. In an ideal world, you get paid at or above your market value. You get the number of years you want on the contract. You're playing for a contender, and you're living in an amazing city where you have family. That's an ideal situation. That situation doesn't exist for us.
So Philadelphia, they need shooting desperately on that team, and that's why I think J.J. Redick from the Clippers is a significant target for them. They have the cap space to go out and pay him, you know, what's going to be market value. Brooklyn, the Knicks are teams who have interest. Redick gives them a guy who can come in and, you know, start to space the floor a little bit. And if they lose him in LA, it's more than just his shooting and the kind of player he's become. He impacts a locker room. And I do think for Brooklyn, for New York, for Philadelphia, that's a big part of the appeal of Redick.
Maybe I go do a one-year deal in Barcelona.
I think that we could do that. You get free Wi-Fi. It's not a
Wi-Fi
bad...
from an internet cafe? Like, how are we doing this?
No. In unit. It's first class.
Hypothetically, if it came down to like living in Brooklyn or Philly or Miami, rate them 1, 2, 3.
1 Brooklyn, 2 Brooklyn, 3 Brooklyn.
All right, so you don't give me much choice there.
I don't know that I can move again.
Obviously, what happens on the court is important to me. I know what happens off the court is important to you, but...
I think we just want to feel settled.
But yeah, I want to feel settled too. And having storage units all over the fucking country, having to move once every 12 months in and out of rentals is awful.
I think he's getting now to the age where moving is hard on him. And I think that's why, you know, with JJ being a free agent now, like, that's something you think about. We've, like, as a family, sacrificed a lot, and so it's almost like it's time for him to kind of take one for the team, and it might not be like a championship, but I mean... A side of professional wives that sort of gets glamorized, and there's a perception that their lives are easy, but the reality is, for the most part, they're single parents for 9 months out of the year. When I'm on the road, she's on her own. The night before a game when I'm home, I'm thinking about the game. I'm not even, it's hard for me to say this and admit this, but I don't even know if I'm present half the time. You want to stay in Brooklyn, Noxie? Yeah? Okay, we'll talk to Daddy. I'm not gonna stay in Brooklyn because my wife wants me to stay in Brooklyn like that. It's just not gonna happen, she knows that. I really care about my family, I really care about my kids, I really care about my wife, and I really care about their happiness. It's a part of the decision. If I'm being completely honest, you know, it's 30% winning, it's 30% salary, it's 30% fit or enjoyment of playing, how I think I'll like playing there. And then the other 10% is like, how do I look out for my family and their lifestyle? And my wife wants me to be happy. I think that's the main thing. You know, she knows how much I put into this, and so she wants me to enjoy playing.
Do you keep in touch with Krzyzewski?
I do. He's great. He's really great. I talked to him. Actually, he texted me yesterday just to let me know that he loved me.
I can't get beyond the trade market. It just keeps coming, unlike any year I can remember leading into the draft. You know, the Laker Nets trade tonight, Dwight Howard trade to Charlotte. I just can't remember a year where there's been this flurry of activity and then potential stars moving within days of the draft.
It's been wild. I can't remember anything like this either. And I mean, just like one after another.
People care more about who their team might get than who they have.
On June 29th at about 10 p.m., I got a call from Lawrence Frank from the Clippers. I jokingly call it my breakup call. He just told me, you know, that they weren't going to offer me a contract, that I wasn't going to be back.
Oh yeah, let him you want to mic him up?
Yeah.
Oh,
Have you faced the cameras and you just put this on your back?
You left it early that night to go to Philly.
Yeah, got there at like 11. I slept from Thursday to like yesterday, last night. I probably slept 6 hours out of those 72. I hadn't eaten in 2 days.
Yeah.
No appetite. I mean, it's just.
When I agreed to do this, there was no way for me to anticipate sort of the magnitude of my feelings this past weekend. I met with Philly in Camden, New Jersey, at their practice facility on Friday night / Saturday morning. Left the facility around 2 a.m., got back to the hotel at like 2:30, got like 2 hours of sleep, and then came back to Brooklyn. I mean, I was sitting down in the lobby of the hotel for about an hour. My phone was dead. I was like at 6%, and I was like walking around trying to find an outlet to put my phone charger in. Basically, I charged my phone, talked to Coach D'Antoni for about 10 minutes. Greg called, and he said, we need to move on Philly. And I said, okay, well, what about Houston? And Greg said, they're not going to do a 4-year deal. The owner's now saying he'll only do a 3-year deal. So I said, okay, well, I got to go back to our apartment and go talk to Chelsea about what we want to do. How long do I have with this Philly thing? And he said, 15 minutes. And I said, no, fuck no. Like, I need at least an hour. He's like, well, I don't know if you have an hour. At one point, and I was just laying down on a bench waiting for Mike D'Antoni to call me. That was probably my lowest point of the weekend. I went back to our apartment. I walked in. I told Chelsea what was happening. And, you know, I said, I'm in.
The Sixers continue to be a great story. J.J. Redick, 1 year, $23 million. Not only does Philly add pieces that can help them on the floor, but also great for their young kids as well.
Going into like those 5 days prior to free agency, like 100%, Philly is the team I wanted to play for. It was past midnight on July 1st, and when I walked in, there was like 30 76ers employees. First thought was, you know, they're all here for free agency, but I guess they were all there for me. I was able to have a really good conversation with Brett Brown about some actions that we can run next year. It was just a really good conversation. I was sort of overwhelmed by the atmosphere. And one of the things I told them in the meeting was like, I want to be around a good group and good people, and that's sort of what they were preaching to me. You know, it left a great impression on me. Part of me expected like free agency to go a certain way and then to feel that sense of relief, like, okay, I can relax a little bit. You know, I wanted it on my terms. I didn't get it on my terms. I didn't get a long-term deal. I think ultimately that I ended up in the perfect situation right now at this point in my life. It's Monday, July 3rd. I normally don't touch a basketball until after July 15th. I'm starting my workouts this week. Like, I'm ready to go. The new challenge that I'll have this year is one that I've never had before. And that's being the older veteran on the team that is expected and will be demanded to be a mentor, to be an example, to be a pro. Just because you envision something happening a certain way and you feel like you've prepared and put in the work and had the results that, you know, warranted a certain outcome. It doesn't always work that way. This entire 2-month period has really taught me a lot. I didn't go into free agency expecting to have a salary of $23 million like I'm going to next year. It's insane to me. The reason that I do what I do is to provide a hell of a life for Chelsea and Knox and Kai and for myself and for my family.